So Tottenham Hotspur is set to come back in for Morgan Gibbs-White. Sorry, let's start again. I'll try and stay it with a straight, serious face. Tottenham Hotspur want Forest midfielder Morgan Gibbs-White. Welcome to your Forest transfer news. Hi guys, hope you're doing well. Welcome to your latest Forest news. Coming up, we'll go through these reports of Tottenham wanting to come back in for Morgan Gibbs-White. Like, do they not learn? Remember last year at the end of the day, we always win? Check it out on the merch store. Scan that QR code or click on the link that's in the comments. And before we start with what's happening, let's start with what has happened, okay? So I'm sure you all remember the story from last summer where Tottenham came in for Morgan Gibbs-White. In essence, Morgan Gibbs-White agreed to go to Spurs because there was a secret release clause of £60 million. And then Daniel Levy stupidly tried to take on Marinakis, and Marinakis just gave him one clean backhand. And not only did Levy go running, but he actually went and left Tottenham. He was that scared of Marinakis. And Gibbs-White ended up staying, scoring the most goals I've seen him score in a season, especially in the Premier League, and leading Forest to finish ahead of Spurs. The irony. Oh yeah, whilst as well scoring a goal against Spurs. Now, on top of that, Marinakis got Gibbs-White signed a new contract. It was with an alleged 150k a week deal. 2 years left on his deal, and there's no indications right now that Gibbs-White is looking to leave. However, when it comes to Tottenham, the stupidity from this club, going all the way from their hierarchy down to their dumbass fans, is beyond belief. If you speak to Spurs fans, even though they finished 17th and luckily avoided relegation because alleged corruption from Aston Villa, otherwise they would be playing Championship right now. Even though that happened, even though last season they finished 17th in the league, and you had Spurs fans saying anomaly, oh, we only did it because we were trying to win the Europa League, this, that and the other. Even in spite of all that, you have Spurs fans right now who think they're going to be getting top 4, top 5 next season under De Zerbi, because De Zerbi is going to quote unquote cook the league. And when you ask them how and why, they don't really have any substance behind it. They just talk about De Zerbi's playing style. Yet when you objectively look at it, De Zerbi beat Wolves. It's probably the second worst team we've ever seen in the Premier League. De Zerbi beat Aston Villa. I don't need to say anything about that game. You guys already know how I feel about that one. And De Zerbi beat Everton, who haven't won since March, were fully on the beach, couldn't get Europe, couldn't get relegated, and so on and so forth. So on those three pieces of evidence, not only do they think they're going to finish top 5 or European spots or whatever, they also think they can attract footballers with quality because what? They're playing one game a week? Like, I could understand it more last summer where Spurs had Champions League football, and they could offer that to Morgan Gibbs-White, and Forest were only offering him Europa League. But just roll that forward 12 months. Neither team can offer Conference League football, let alone Europa League football. Forest finished for another season ahead of Spurs. Forest are, in my opinion, a bigger club. We may not be this Cartel 6, but I don't think Spurs are anymore. And for Spurs to rebuild, one, they got to sort out their pricing structure when it comes to wages, because their wages are all over the place. And secondly, they're going to have to invest in a lot of players, offer them ridiculous amounts of money to get them to play there instead of going to, I don't know, an Arsenal or a Chelsea. Not Chelsea, they ain't even got European football. Even Villa. I think Villa can attract better players now than Tottenham because of what they can offer them. So Spurs are starting from scratch. So their best bet is probably to try and target players from, I don't know, Championship teams, really. That's where they need to start. Because outside of that, I don't know who they attract. Now, they've signed the likes of Robertson on a free already. He's washed up. He had a terrible season at Liverpool. They're getting Senesi from Bournemouth. He's all right, but he's getting on in his years. It's not like a game-changing signing. But these aren't players that are going to attract new players to want to play with them. That's the point here. So, does Morgan Gibbs-White want to join Spurs? I honestly, categorically think the answer is no. Like, I don't see a world where Gibbs-White would join Spurs this summer. And secondly, are Spurs stupid enough to come back in for Morgan Gibbs-White after they got slapped down and smacked down by Marinakis last summer? The answer on that is probably yes, because they are that stupid. They're like a glutton for their own punishment. It's like you've just been in a fight at school. You got beaten up by the big man on the playground. You think, oh, okay, I'm going to go and pump some iron in the gym for one session. I'll come back tomorrow and take him on again. And then he backhands you again and down you go. That's Spurs for you, man. They don't learn from their stupidity. They've just been making mistakes over and over and over again. Honestly, they're better off going and seeing what Southampton and go or something. Now, so I think they will try and come in. Now, let's just play out the scenario where they do come in, okay? Last year was 60 million because of the release clause. It's very easy to argue that Morgan Gibbs-White has improved from this time last summer into being a better player, a better finisher, scoring more goals. I still think he could have scored more, but anyway, that's a whole other story. And now, for them to come in, they would have to look at least £80 million, in my belief, to get Gibbs-White. If 60 million was the clause last season, Morgan Gibbs-White has gone up by more than £20 million, in my opinion. Yes, he's a year older, but it doesn't matter. He's coming into the peak of his powers. And therefore, that's why I would say they would need to start at 80 million. And how stupid would they look if they could have had him for 60 million plus a couple of pounds change last summer and leave you as such a tight ass that he didn't really exactly want to trigger the relegation clause, the release clause. And now they're going to have to come in and spend probably £20 million more. And then does Gibbs-White want to leave? I think the honest answer is no. The only thing, in my opinion, that would force Gibbs-White to leave Forest this summer is if he felt he could go to a team where it would guarantee him a place in Tuchel's England team. Now, with no major tournament coming up for the next 2 years after this World Cup, obviously, but he's not going. There's no real rush for him to move. He could move next summer, go to, I don't know, Man City or whatever Cartel 6 team is, and then he'd still have a whole season to get himself into the England team. And also on top of that, there's no pressure on Forest to sell because we're fine when it comes to the finances. No pressures like that on us at all. And I actually think the outcome is going to be probably Gibbs-White signs a new contract for Forest. And you'll have Marinakis and him standing next to each other again, saying, at the end of the day, we always win. But get your thoughts on this one. Are the dumbass Spurs really going to go in for Gibbs-White again? By the way, this was coming from Miguel Delaney in The Independent, apparently. So sourcing apparently is good. But get your thoughts in. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. Hype up the video. And we'll see you on the next one. Come on, you Reds.